2022 general election, it is almost certain that the presidential election will be much contested, pitting Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga as the two top most likely candidates. But the admission by senior government officials that there is a controversial group of powerful individuals, informally called the deep state, exists and has immense influence on presidential elections cast a shadow on Kenya's elections. This even as presidential hopefuls meet with billionaires believed to be holding the system at ransom, all in the hopes of sponsoring their presidential bid. In this week's 2022 game plan, Musa Salah takes a look at how deep the state is.
In its 58 years of independence, Kenya's presidential elections have not been without controversy, and the latest revelation, pointing out an influential hand in the process, has cast a shadow on Kenya's democratic process.
In most cases, fair and free elections has been from the MC or the then councillor up to, we used to have the last used to be a member of parliament, but nowadays up to governor and senator. But from there are a lot of determinant factors that allows one to be a president.
What is deep state? Is it something amorphous? It is only that there are people who have influence.
But I would imagine that in every establishment or in every other regime, there must be those people close enough to the powers that be that probably make decisions.
If Uhuru says that he is preferring Odinga, then that is the deepest, because we will have all the machineries that will assist that person to make sure that he wins the rest. That is how deep the deep state is.
Those political finances, campaign finance are the deep state. That's what is called deep state. They have a stake in the leadership through the lucrative tenders. They'll even decide it. They're very influential. They're very influential because they're the chief advisors of most of those candidates.
Unless you can win the political power, the ideas remain ideas. They will never be implemented. So the question of your capacity to win or your inability also becomes very important.
They have calculations. They know before even us, the voters, know who will become the president. They know. And after that, they will seek an early appointment, have a meeting with the person. After that, they put their gears or they put their whatever they want into gears. They start moving now, and you will not be able to defeat such a person.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's preference of ODM leader Raila Odinga over his deputy William Ruto as the preferred successor has stirred confusion among the political class. President Uhuru Kenyatta abandoning his promise to support Ruto for 2 terms as president. But there remains a consensus that it is normal for a retiring president to have a preferred candidate. In the 2002 general election, then President Daniel Moi had picked young Uhuru Kenyatta for the presidency. Kenyatta, under the stewardship of Moi, only managed 31% of the vote, raising questions over the power of the deep state then. But as it turns out, the deep state is a group of powerful and well-connected individuals, including billionaire business moguls, whose main interest has been termed by some as to protect their wealth and in the process cash in on the gamble on who the next president should be.
Because you see, Kenya's politics is commercialized. If you are not funded, you cannot make any mark. And in presidential election, it's not only one political financier. You must have financiers and goodwill support from the influencers.
But that's a reality. If they back you up, you are more likely to get the resources to win that campaign. You are more likely to get support to reach the people, to reach the masses.
See, the issue of persons that contribute to campaigns and how much they influence the campaigns is debatable in many ways, because there are people who give to campaigns simply because they feel it is the best way to participate in shaping the future of a nation. At the same time, there are business people who give in campaigns because they feel that they would want a stable environment to conduct their businesses.
Most presidential elections are not cheap. You talked the other day when the IBC talked of 7 to 8 billion. It's not easy to get one person. That's why people run to political finance. But this political finance come and hold the successful candidates at ransom. That's how we say we are fighting corruption. How do you fight corruption? When somebody has given you 2-3 billion. Of course, after you've won the office, he'll want his money back through the big tenders, through connections, through appointments.
Most of the things are run by cartels. You also all saw what the DP was saying about petroleum, about cartels in different industries, whether it is health sector, maybe energy sector. All sectors, sometimes they are controlled by those who are even not in the government, but they do tenders, they do business with the government. They are tycoons who controls majorly the economy of this country.
Ukifanya biashara na serikali una faida kubwa. Kwa hivyo ukiona mtu anakusaidia kuna kitu ametega. So hawa mataiguni wote ambao mnasikia wamejitokeza kusaidia wanasiasa, kupatiana chopa, kupatiana gari yake, kuna kitu ambaye anataka.
But inside sources indicate that the cabal, on whose hands the fate of millions of Kenyans lie every 5 years, is not exclusive to domestic influence. The deep state in Kenya traces its roots to the Cold War, with political foundations such as the Rockefeller Foundation believed to be advancing American interest in the country. In the following years, pundits argue that foreign influence in Kenya's politics grew as the country established itself as a regional hub.
We had also the German funding their own people inside here. We had the British funding their own people inside Kenya here. So that after somebody has been elected, then the person can further the interests of that particular country, be it commercial interests, political interests, social interests, and other interests, and bring either through technical aid and bring that linkage closer.
In the last 1 month, presidential hopefuls met with the Mount Kenya Foundation, whose exclusive membership comprises of globally recognized industry leaders, to negotiate their way into State House next year. The One Kenya Alliance co-principals met with the tycoons at Safari Park Hotel just days after Odinga had lunch with the foundation. Although Deputy President William Ruto has castigated his opponents for abandoning the power of the ballot, pundits argue his dismissal of the elite in his campaigns could cost him dearly in the race to State House next year.
We have also our own Kenyans, entrepreneurs, like the Mount Kenya Foundation, Something Foundation. Those ones also, they must know who can steer and put some mechanism in place to grow economy or to spur economic growth. They cannot just support somebody through slogans, and workable theory, economic theories. They can't support you.
If it is a bad thing, if it is a monster, they are the ones who fed the monster, isn't it? Because he was part of it. Yeah. They are the ones who organized for him and the former brother, who is now an adversary, you know. And so now, you know, the foot is on another foot, shoe is on another foot. And now that's why he's complaining. So he understands, actually, the impact of these people.
Empowering Mkokoteni and other people, that's fine. You know, but how, when you carry these people in the wheelbarrow, when you carry your stuff in a wheelbarrow, where will you be taking it? You'll be taking it to a construction site, isn't it? Who owns that building? You know, where you're taking it. Is it not the Mama Mboga? The one who owns the building will be somebody else's money. And maybe after you finish that building, you'll be building another one. Yeah, so I think for the country to progress, you have to look both at the top and the bottom as well.
2017, we all put our posters and we all said we are going to be Jeshi la Uhuru. But what happened to majority of us? When we went to parliament, we became anti-Uhuru. So why would you now want to tell us that you are with Ruto and you're going to fight for Ruto there in parliament? It is every man for himself and God for us all. God will give us a good president. I don't know who, but he's going to give us one president. It doesn't matter who has been seemed to be ahead, but the president who cares about our affairs. The president will also take care of the future because we have projects. Look at this road we are building here. We have Mau Mau roads. By 2022, some of these projects will not have ended.
Look at what happened when Moi was in power. Everybody thought that Moi had a magic, that there is no way opposition can win. Opposition won. At the same time, you have seen complaints the last 2 elections, whereby people, the opposition have been crying that there is manipulation by deep state. And therefore, I would say that if you are properly prepared, then we should not be having issues of deep state.
The same dynamic could happen, especially when the incumbent is exiting. Usually deep state might not have 100% say or even 70% say.
Ruto, who has been on a charm offensive to change the national conversation on the state of the economy, is said to be largely banking on the youth, millions of whom have been adversely affected by unemployment.
The voter is that small person who is down there, not foundations. So there's likelihood that there'll be, when it comes to voting, there'll be a big disparity between the haves and have-nots, the rich and the poor.
I mean, they are not in those big hotels. These are university students. These are young men and women in the villages, in the rural areas. I mean, how will a few people in a hotel make a decision for those millions of Kenyans out there?
I heard from international community and even the president himself confessing that there is corruption in this country. And corruption in this country is not only at the highest office, it is everywhere.
So they cannot support a government or a presidential candidate who is supporting poverty, who is talking about people coming up with economic theories that are unworkable, that have not been tested elsewhere in the world, and say we want to be a president. They won't support you.
I think any candidate that will resonate on the side of the economy will be able to win the confidence of Kenyans, and we could see for the first time a presidential election candidate being elected going by policies and not by tribe or even coalitions.
In August this year, members of parliament unanimously nullified the proposed elections campaign financing regulations by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, seeking to cap the campaign financing. In its proposal, the IEBC capped campaign financing for presidential candidates at 4.4 billion shillings, governors, senators and women representatives at 433 million shillings, while members of parliament were allowed a maximum of 33.4 million shillings.
How much money they're giving, then we may end up not having the right leaders for this country.
Ile limits IBC ilikuwa najaribu kuweka hamna tena. Mwenye nguvu nipishe. Na unajua Wakenya tunapenda kitu kidogo. Hii sasa nafikiri hapo ndio bado pale ile shida tu bado tuko nayo. Ya kwamba mwenye pesa nyingi, hela nyingi hako na chances mingi ya kuchaguliwa kwa sababu ya ile uchumi ambaye imeumiza Wakenya.
In Kenya it is known that or rather it is automatic that corruption is deeply rooted in all levels of life.
You can't talk of corruption if you are supporting corruption. You can't talk of eliminating corruption if you are geared towards voting for a corrupt person. Even for not only top seats, but even your MCA. So Kenyans, it is the highest time they carry out due diligence to those that they want to put in positions of authority and influence. It's not just election, it's not just money. And they say, who has given you money, that is the right person to vote for. You are voting for money, you are not voting for a leader.
The problem we are having in Kenya is that leaders will spend a lot of money. When they get to the positions, they work very hard to refund their money. In the process, the citizens will not benefit.
And even as tycoons from the Mount Kenya region negotiate with presidential hopefuls, the region is for the first time unable to produce a strong candidate to battle it out with the rest, creating a vacuum in the mountain with the majority still undecided on who to support for president.
Politically, we are in a very interesting political times. And we are going into a transition government. And as a region, we don't have, I would say, a lead with a presidential candidate. And so at this point, we are negotiating.
The people in Mount Kenya have reached a point whereby they would also want to see a head of state coming from another place, so that we can break this myth that when you have one of your kingsmen in government, there are obvious, natural, probably free benefits that you drain from government, which is not true.
And that's why everybody is running to the mountain. Mount Kenya could play a key role in deciding who could the next president be, by what you call the swing vote. Wherever they'll agree to whichever candidate they'll agree to support, in maybe 80%, 90%, that could be the swing vote.
It is true, we are swing vote. We are no longer kingmakers. The way we are moving, you can see already, if you look at by the analysis yesterday, you can see that Samuel Ruto is now at 57%, Raila Odinga 11% in 8 counties, and that tells you that there is a huge number that has not yet decided on where they are going to vote.
And I can tell you for sure that we are not going to have a rerun. People are enthusiastic to elect a president. It is going just to be once and for all. Because you see what other politicians did, which has aroused Kenyans and which was good. They started campaigning immediately after last elections. Now Kenyans know if you have been elected and you don't serve, you start now campaigning for the top seat. What is there that you want? So this is going to make a lot of people turn out in large numbers, and then they will be able to vote whoever they want.
Musa Salah, TV 47.